lying down. We're going to have blocks and a bolster and any other thing that you like to have. We're going to get settled and situated. And this is like such a lovely little change of pace. It's just you guys today. There's nobody in studio. So I feel like I get to just like focus in on you, which is kind of nice. And your pets, of course. All right, so let's start off laying down. We're going to starfish pose to begin with, I am thinking. Starfish pose just being the position where you spread out, as much as you feel comfortable doing so. All right, maybe the feet are pretty far apart, maybe they're kind of close, depending on how your hips and low back feel. Maybe your arms are stretched out past your head. Maybe you have some cactus arms going on, elbows down a little bit. And we'll begin here just with a little bit of gentle breathing. It doesn't have to be anything serious. It doesn't have to be anything even focused just yet. Just a few moments worth of awareness of this breath, just as it is, however you've showed up to your practice today. And as you arrive here at your practice, it's the middle of the week. Sometimes I wonder if that's even worth mentioning, you know, like everybody's week looks a little bit different. But still there's this energy of sort of like getting over the hump, getting over the hill in the middle of the week. So from this position of maybe where you're sort of at the peak of things, take a look around. You might consider all that you have done, all that you have taken care of, and the ways that you've taken care of yourself, even in these past few days. Good. And then you might consider a few ways that you can also take care of yourself and your loved ones as the week goes on. Just letting this next 55 minutes or so be a gift to yourself. And I know that, you know, literally every single one of us on the screen just has a lot to deal with, a lot to attend to. And for this next hour, it's just all about you. It's a plain and simple fact that when you take care of yourself, that generally ripples outward in a really positive way. And I am a firm believer also that when we take care of ourselves, that's automatically taking care of each other. And another 5 breaths or so here, just easy, natural breathing. You might bring a little bit of your awareness down into your belly area, where your guts are housed, that space in between your pelvis and your ribs. And just notice it rise and fall. Good. And then from here, we're going to take our hands and place them on our belly and our chest. You might bend your knees and bring them into constructive rest just to give your low back a little bit of a different experience. And now let's take a little bit of a focused breath. So I really am a fan of the three-part breath. In the three-part breath, you first off just breathe out all the way as much as you can comfortably. And then breathe in about a third of the way and pause. And then breathe in about another third of the way and pause again. And then all the way up, fill up those lungs, pause at the top, big breath out. And we'll just do that a few times here, okay, at your own pace. Good. Slowing down that inhale. And then a nice big exhale. Good, maybe 2 more rounds. Good, as you breathe, feel your belly and your chest kind of move upward. Awesome. From here, we're going to pull the knees in towards the belly and lengthen through the low back just a tiny bit. Right? It doesn't have to be like the world's biggest low back stretch, just a little something. We have the whole class to focus on lengthening out a little bit there. And we'll rock our head from side to side. Loosening a little bit of tension in your neck, in your shoulders, and maybe even in your jaw. Okay. From here, we're going to set the feet back down to the ground. Feel that lower back kind of peel up just a little bit from the ground. And we're going to take a block, I think, and place it in between the thighs. I like to take mine on the medium setting up near the knees. That brings my knees into just about hip socket alignment. Everybody's a little different, so play around with that. And then we're going to lift up the feet here. Right? Maybe you reach the feet up towards the ceiling. Maybe your knees are bent. But we're just going to squeeze into the block with the legs at this 90-degree angle of some kind. And it might be nice to take your hands onto your belly and just notice how it feels there. Can you still feel your breath, even though you're squeezing? Good, and then we're going to take the feet down to the ground, keep that block right where it is, and we're going to lift up the pelvis and come into a bridge pose. Great, you can keep that squeeze on the block if that feels supportive, or maybe you loosen your grip a little bit and just kind of let it hang out there. Good, chin towards the throat. All right, so yeah, I think we're going to focus mostly on our dignity muscles today. Dignity muscles being a term that I got from my teacher, Jane Clapp. And that was in a training I took with her. That was a movement for trauma training. But very recently, I took another training with her where she talks about all the different psychoanalytic components of a somatic practice. So it was a Jungian somatics course. We're going to set the spine back down. And let's drop our knees over to the right. All right. So in this course, she refers to those muscles, those same dignity muscles, your back, your butt, and your core, as being the seat of your ego. And I think that we have a really kind of skewed opinion about what ego is in our culture, because we just see a lot of like really overinflated egos. And we forget that it's actually like a very important part of who we are. Helps to give us our sense of self-worth. It helps connect us to the idea of importance. So we'll take a few breaths here, and as you breathe, notice the belly, the back. Let them soften just a little bit. Breath. We'll come back through to the center. And that block might still be in between your knees. And I'm thinking that we're going to take a little bit of like a twisting situation, squeezing the block in between the knees. And it's like a rocking motion. So rocking the knees this way and rocking the knees that way. Really take notice of how this feels. If your jaw's trying to help your belly out, your back out, tell your jaw it can relax. Good. A few more breaths here. Ooh, I'm crossing my ankles and it feels really nice and supportive. Maybe you are already doing it. Maybe you want to try the same. And maybe you take those knees around in circles. And if you're doing those circles, go in both directions. Good. And then from here, let's set those feet back down to the ground. We're going to pick up the hips, scoot them to the right, and drop over into your twist. And again, maybe that block stays put, especially if your low back needs a little bit of support. It's a nice way to help broaden the low back. Good, and notice your belly here. And your ribs. Just a few more breaths. All right, we're going to bring ourselves back through to the center. And now we're going to slide that block away. I think we're done with it just for a sec. Let's take a happy baby or a knees wide to frame the chest. And now we're going to think about lengthening out through that low back a little bit more, maybe finding a little bit more of an intense sensation in the hips by reaching up for your feet or ankles. Yeah, this can be soft too. Heels close to the butt, knees wide, like child's pose on your back. Good. And a few more breaths wherever you are. Okay. Let's set the soles of the feet back down fairly close to the sitting bones. And from here, we're going to take another bridge pose. And as you take this bridge pose, notice the back plane of the body working. And this whole movement, in my body at least, is kind of being driven by the big toe. So think about taking your big toes and press them down, press them away from you. Your glutes are squeezing, but so is your back. Your heels are pressing into the ground. I'm going to take one more breath here. And then let's set the spine back down. And we'll rock the knees from side to side for a moment. Soften that jaw. All right. Let's walk the feet out a little bit. Good. So maybe we're like 9 to 12 inches away from your sitting bones. And we're going to take a weird bridge. So lift up from here. Yeah, it feels a little different, huh? Okay, maybe this feels easier. Maybe it feels so awkward because you're used to the other way. Good, wherever you are, take a few breaths and see if you can find that nice spread out of effort on the back plane of the body. Good, last big breath here, pressing those feet down and away. And then roll that spine back down. Let's take the knees and give them a little side to side rock. Nice and slow. Okay. Hey, why don't we try one more time? We're going to take the feet a little bit further out. And here's where things start to feel real strange. Let's lift up again. Good. When I do this, my toes pop up and I'm kind of digging my heels into the ground and it feels awesome. Maybe this is just like not for you. And if that's the case, you can always set yourself down. Good. Feel your hamstrings working here. Good. Feel the mid back. Good. One more breath. And then go ahead and set yourself down. We'll extend those legs out nice and long, thank goodness. And let's pump the feet. Let's let the body wobble along the ground. Good, a few moments worth of this wobbling. Okay, and then let's take the heels and walk them over to the right. Cross that right ankle on top of the left, or you might prefer the other way. Good, and then from here, let's take the hands onto the belly and the ribs, and we're just gonna scoot our upper bodies over to the right. If you really like extending your arms out past your head, you're welcome to come into banana, but you might also consider just keeping your hands on your belly. Good, left heel of the hand on the side of the rib cage, maybe even a little massage here. Right, one more breath. We'll bring ourselves back through to the center, move slow. And let's find Shavasana for a second and remember stillness. And we'll just spend a moment here nice and still with the breath. And as folks who have lots to attend to, I think one of the most important things we can do for ourselves is to remember what it's like to be still, to practice it in small ways. And feel the back plane of your body on the ground. Another breath. Good, and then we'll slide the heels over to the left here. Right foot meets the left. And yeah, you might cross that left ankle on top. And upper body can move as well if that feels okay. Hands might stick around on the belly and the ribs. And last couple of inhales and exhales over here. Wonderful. And then we're going to make our way back to center. And then in your own way, we're going to come onto hands and knees. So take your time to get there. And if you have your blocks, it might be nice to place them up near where your hands are. It's for a little added support as we come into our standing practice. Good. And as you find hands and knees, let's tap the tops of the feet on the ground. Let's arrive here. Good. And then let's move the spine through some kind of movement that's like either a snaking of the spine side to side, or a cat and a cow, rounding the back, dropping the belly. Good. When we're moving on hands and knees, we're looking to sort of observe where we're holding tension in the body. Good. Observing how it feels to drop the belly. And drop the head. Feel the neck. Yeah, and just a few more breaths here. All right. So from here, we're going to take our left leg back behind us. Let's touch the toes down to the ground. And we're going to take that right hand out in front of us and touch the fingers to the ground. Good. And then from here, we're going to lift and lower, and just do this a few times. Picking up that right arm and left leg and setting them back down. Try to keep your breathing nice and smooth and easy through the nose. Good, two more. And on this last one, hold it for a second. Good, a deep breath in. As you exhale, set that right hand down. And we're going to step that left foot to the outside of the left hand and just stretch the hips a tiny little bit here. Lizard pose. You might be up on your blocks. And you might have your elbows bent, lowering the chest to the ground if your body is ready for that kind of thing. All right, another breath or two. All right, we're gonna send that left leg nice and long behind us, hold it up. And then we're gonna lift up that left hand. Half moon, side plank variation. Yeah, good. And maybe you want to extend that left arm out past the head. I always feel kind of like superhero-ish in this. Good, one more deep breath. And then we're gonna come back down. We're gonna take that left knee down to the ground. And we're gonna slide the left arm underneath, thread the needle. Good, let's bring ourselves back through to center. And from here, you can come back to child's pose. You can move through more cats and cows. Maybe you even want to pop up into like a high plank if you have like a ton of energy. I would like to send it somewhere, strengthening for yourself. Good, wherever you are, just listen to your breath. Try to maintain that connection with now. Good, eventually we're gonna come back onto hands and knees. And this time we're gonna extend that right leg out long with your right toes touching the ground. Good, we'll extend those left fingers out in front of us, also touching the ground. And then let's just lift and lower a few times. Are you noticing your sense of balance today? If you feel strong, if you feel wobbly, tired, energetic, just observing what's there as you move here. Good, last two. All right, we'll set that left hand down and now we'll step the right foot up to the outside of the right hand. Or yeah, that's right. Right foot to the outside of the right hand. Maybe you've got some blocks. Maybe you want to lower your chest down, or staying lifted could be nice too. Right, it's probable that your hips are a little different and maybe this side looks different than the other. Good, just notice your breathing. All right, and then we're going to make our way back into our half move. And so we're going to keep that left hand down, swing the right leg back. Sometimes it's nice to turn on that left knee and point the toes back behind you as you reach that right arm high. Good. Right arm might sweep out past the head here. Feel the fingers reaching away from the toes. Good. Reach that right arm back up. We're going to drop the right knee down and thread the needle. Slide that right arm underneath. And as you settle in here, breathe and feel that right shoulder. Little twist. All right, we're going to come on up and out of this. And as you come out of this, it could be back to hands and knees for some more movement. You might want to come on back to downward facing dog. Pedal things out a little bit here. Good. From your down dog, if you're there, press into your hands, press into those fingers, and feel your hips moving back in space, your heels moving towards the ground, even if they never touch. Good. We're going to breathe in and look forward, and then exhale and walk the hands, or sorry, walk the feet to the hands. Good. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale and fold. Good. A few more times, inhaling up to a halfway lift. You might gently bend the knees as you do that. And think about really pulling the chin in towards the throat to lengthen the back of the neck. Yeah, forward fold. Few more times with the halfway lift. Good. And we're going to fold forward again. And then let's bend the knees a whole lot. We'll come to sit back in chair pose, AKA awkward pose, Utkatasana. And spread your fingers out nice and wide. And if it feels weird to have your arms straight, cactus. And nice strong legs, nice strong glutes, belly and back here. Good. We're going to stand up nice and tall, reach high, look up. Exhale, hands to the heart. Good. Rock over into the right foot. And then over onto the left foot. And then find center. Good. Spread those toes out. Inhale, sweep those arms up again. Exhale and fold yourself forward slowly. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, plant your palms, step it back, down dog. Good. And before we get into like a full-blown vinyasa, if we want to go there, let's just tick-tock back and forth between down dog and plank a few times. And notice how it feels in the belly. Notice the inner thighs, how active they are here too. Good, heels pressing back in both poses. Good, coming on back to down dog or hands and knees. Inhale, look forward. Exhale, step the right foot up to the top. And we'll step the left foot there too. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale and fold. Inhale, bend the knees. Utkatasana, chair pose. Right, sometimes I like to bend my elbows and place my hands on the top of my head and gently guide my head so that I'm looking forward. And it's also nice, I think, to have that sense of containment up high here. And a little bit of a softer shoulder. You're going to stand up nice and tall, take a little baby back bend. Exhale, hands to the heart. And then arms drop, mountain pose. Good, rock over to this foot, and over to that foot. And then rock back to the heels for a sec. And then rock forward to your toes. Maybe you even consider lifting your heels for a moment. Good, if you have your arms alongside you in mountain, what's it like to try to reach them up here? Good, big stretch. Exhale, connect the heels, dive forward. Good, all the way down. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, plant the palms, take it back and through your flow. Maybe that involves a chaturanga and an upward dog or a cobra. Maybe you want to find hands and knees. Wiggle around a little. Good, wherever you are, just a handful of breaths. All right, and then on your next breath in, look forward. Exhale, step that left foot up to the top of the mat. Good, right foot's gonna meet it, standing forward fold. Inhale, halfway. Exhale and fold again. Good, all right, right back into chair pose. This might be the last one. Good. No promises, but maybe. So maybe get a little weird. It might be nice to broaden your stance and sit way down and really like feel your butt doing its thing. Feel your thighs engaging. Good, a couple more breaths here. All right, we'll lift up, standing pose, little back bend. Exhale, arms circle down. Feet step back to hip socket distance. Big breath in. And a big breath out. Good, inhale, reach those arms up. Exhale, fold yourself forward. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, plant the palms, and we're going to step back into a high plank or a plank with the knees down. And we're going to come through some side plank variations. From a high plank, you might just drop both heels to one side, both hands connect. Maybe you want to drop that bottom knee down. Maybe that top hand reaches up. Maybe this turns back into half moon. Good, a breath or two wherever you are, nice and strong. Good, we'll bring ourselves back through to the center and right over to the other side into your favorite variation of side plank. There's so many ways to do this. Good, but in these poses, think about really engaging the side of your waist. Really pressing down into that lower hand. Good, we're going to set that hand down to the ground. And we'll make our way back to down dog or child's pose. Child's pose could be real nice after all that side planking. And we'll spend a few breaths here. It might be nice to take a block under your forehead if you're in child's pose and just rock your brow from side to side. Good, and then from here, we're gonna come back either into hands and knees or downward facing dog. Let's send the right leg up and back. And I haven't done this in forever and ever, but we're gonna pull the knee to the nose and just kind of hover here. I feel like this is a power yoga move. So I'm just, it's not always in my bag of tricks, but it's such a good strengthener. All right, let's take another moment here, hovering that knee. And then we're going to step that right foot forward. Block under the right hand. Let's pick that left leg up. Half moon. Left hand might be to your hip. Maybe it reaches high. Good. And notice your right big toe. And notice the right side of your waist. A couple breaths right here. Good, and then we're gonna set that left foot down at the top of the mat. Fold forward just for a sec. All right, we're gonna take the feet out just a little bit wider, about as wide as your mat. Block's gonna be under the face. Left hand down, deeply bend the left knee. Reach your right arm high and straighten that right leg. You might even tuck the right hand behind your back. Good, fold yourself forward. All right, and how about a squat? Heels in, toes out. Maybe you're sitting down on something. Good, maybe the hips hover. Good, wherever you are, just breathe and feel your shoulders kind of moving back in space. Right, maybe they're over the pelvis, maybe they're a little forward, but feel that uprightness. Good, and eventually we're going to make our way back into a standing forward fold. Heel toe the feet back in. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, plant the palms. Take it back and through the flow of your choice. If you want to toss in some side planks, you're welcome to. If you want to keep it chill, of course, feel free. Good. Wherever you are, just a few more breaths before we find our way back to down dog or hands and knees. Good. And then from here, let's extend that left leg out nice and long behind us. Hold it up. Good. And then let's pull that left knee into the nose. If you're in down dog, rocking forward into high plank. And if you're on hands and knees, just thinking about really trying to keep your hips even-ish here. Good. Last couple breaths. Let's step that left foot up to the top of the mat. Our way into Ardha Chandrasana, half moon pose. And left hand down, right hand lifts. Good, feel that left side belly lifting. And then that right foot pressing back. That's like the other half of this. That helps to create the balance. Good, one more deep breath here. We'll set that right foot down to the ground. Good. Feet come about as wide as the mat. And the blocks under your face again. We'll keep that right hand down, deeply bend the right knee and reach that left arm up. Good. Feel both of your legs nice and engaged here. And same thing with your belly, finding a little twist. Good. From here, let's fold forward again, heels in, toes out, and squatting down. All right, so if you have it in you to practice a little crow today, that's a little thought. Maybe the hands come down to the ground in front of you, your knees come up under your triceps. And this is just a gentle movement forward. Sometimes it's nice to have a block out in front of you so you can catch yourself if you need to. Lifting the feet if it works. We're keeping those toes down. Right, just a couple breaths more, whatever you're doing here. Good, and then we'll make our way back into a standing forward fold. Good, inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, plant the palms, take it back to downward facing dog or hands and knees. And find a flow that feels supportive to you. All right, let's take it down into child's pose if you're not already there. And from child's pose, we're going to take a dolphin pose, which I like personally really have a hard time with this pose, but it is a very important strengthening pose, or it can be an important strengthening pose. Good. So in your dolphin pose, your elbows are shoulder width, hands out in front of you, palms down, or you could interlace the fingers almost like, like a sphinx sort of position with the arms. Good. And then we're going to lift up the hips. Good. Feel the belly working. Nice, strong upper back here. Notice what's going on in and around your shoulder blades. And you could drop your head, or you could pick up your head and look in between your forearms. All right, just a few breaths here. Good, and then we'll set those knees down and come back to sitting on the heels. Good, if sitting on the heels is not the world's most comfortable thing, you can always put a little bolster back on your heels and sit down on that. And we'll just spend a moment here in hero's pose. Good, I guess hero's pose is if your heels are a little wider than your hips. And if your heels are right under your sitting bones, that's lightning pose. Vajrasana. Good, feel your heart beating. And just gently feel the collarbones broadening here, lifting the sternum up. Shoulder blades gently drawing towards the spine. Good, from here, we're going to swim our arms around us, interlace the fingers behind your back, slide your thumb knuckle down your tailbone, and maybe you look up for a sec. Right, if your neck is okay with that. And if it isn't, just keep on looking forward. All right, so from here, we might take it into a rabbit pose, where you bring the crown of the head down and lift the knuckles up. Great, choice is yours. You can keep the hands up or you can take them down to be a little more supportive of the neck and the head. Good, and if taking the crown of the head down to the ground is just not your friend today, find a child's pose or come back to seating on your heels. All right, and I just want to toss out there another possibility, which is people don't often think of headstands as being a very core intensive pose, but my God, it's all about that. Right, so if you want to, you might take your hands back so they're under your elbows, like chaturanga arms, and then you might tuck your toes underneath and lift your hips and balance on your head here. If that's like, oh my God, no, then don't do it. Keep those knees down. And you'll hold on to that only for as long as it feels right. And then we'll come on up nice and slow back into this lightning bolt or hero's pose. Hands to the thighs. Maybe a super gentle rotation of the neck. Right, nothing extreme. Just a little bit of chill circular action. And the last few breaths. Right, and then we'll make our way back onto hands and knees where we will slide that right knee forward to come into either a pigeon pose with that left leg back behind you. If that feels crazy intense in the knees and the hips, we're gonna roll over onto that right hip and pull that left thigh up to meet the sole of your right foot. And then we'll fold over that right thigh. Maybe you have some blocks under your forearms. Maybe it feels really comfortable to fold all the way down. But just honoring what's going on in your body and the pelvis and below in this highly asymmetrical pose. And never forcing anything here. Just settling in to breathe. And thank your right glutes for keeping you up and moving. And take a few breaths and notice how they feel. Good. Okay, so we're going to lift ourselves on up and out of this. And if you like to move back to hands and knees or to downward facing dog in between, you're certainly welcome to do so. There's always, of course, the option for some kind of a flow as well. A little cat and cow, some chaturanga and cobra. Just taking your wiggles in between sides. So in yoga, it's considered to be an asana or a pose if it is steady and sweet. So whenever we move in our practice, we're looking for those two things. We're looking for steadiness and sweetness. And if one isn't there, maybe the other is. But trying to embody those two things whenever we can. Eventually that left knee is going to pull through to the top of the mat and we'll sink into either the pigeon pose, right leg long behind, or pull that right thigh up towards your left foot. Good, and from here, a little forward fold if it suits you. If your hip is okay with that. And listen to the sound of your breathing. Let it be maybe a little slower. Wonderful. And then let's take a moment to make our way back into down dog or hands and knees if you would like to do that. And eventually we're going to make our way into a seated position. So just getting yourself there in your own way, at your own pace. And we're going to swing both legs out nice and long in front of us. And before we make our way into a relaxed, kind of easygoing forward fold here, I'd like us to play with a little bit of strengthening again. I promise this is it. So this is a variation of Dandasana or staff pose. Blocks alongside your hips, or your hands might just come to the ground. And then think about flexing your feet and lifting your heels away from the ground as you press the hands into the blocks or the ground. Good, collarbones broad. See if you can keep your jaw out of it. Good, a whole lot of activation here, feeling your belly kind of drawing in and back and up. Good, and then we're just gonna go and fold ourselves forward a little bit or a lot, however far your body wants to give today. And this is yet another pose where I'm like, oh no, please don't force it. I'd rather settle into whatever feels like the edge of where you can go and just find your breath. Let your breath do the work here. Right, another breath or two, and then we'll just lift ourselves on up and out of this. And it's time to lay down. You might lie down on a bolster ramp coming into a restorative fish pose with your legs out nice and long. And you might decide to take like a constructive rest variation here with the knees pointing up. Just to allow your body to soften as much as possible. And maybe you prefer to go prop free and just find Shavasana or curl up on your side. I know that wherever you are is great, as long as it feels right to you. And guys, we have a whole 5 minutes for rest. Oh my God. And I'm going to try my very best to be mostly quiet over here so that you can just allow yourself to settle. There's no rush at all. Unless, of course, you actually are scheduled to do something close to 10:30. But I want to encourage you to be leisurely and reflective, maybe even as you begin to make your way out of this stillness and back into your life full of movement. Maybe even considering just a few guiding words for yourself as you kind of move on through the rest of your day and through the rest of this week. Take your time. If you'd like to close out practice sitting up with me, I would love to see your face. If not, that's also like 100%. Right. Good. Hi there. All right, once you sit up, let's just take our hands. Hi, Angela. Let's take our hands and we're going to rub our hands together. Make some hot hands here. Nice heated up, toasty hands if you can. Mine are just a little sweaty, so this is working great. Feel like moisture content makes a difference. And then let's take our hands, the heels of our hands up to our hairline and just go and bring them down our face. And then maybe we'll do that one more time. Warming up those hands again. And we'll fly the hands on the face again, maybe finding a spot that needs a little extra care or attention. Maybe you've been crinkling up your brow or clenching your jaw. Good. We'll keep on sliding those hands down all the way on top of our heart. Yeah, let's take a breath in together. And a breath out. Drop your head down, honoring yourself and your practice and each other too. Oh, we did it. We did it. Hooray. It was good to see your faces. And it was like such a special treat actually to just do a virtual, like, wow, I don't know. I never in a zillion years thought I'd be saying that, but it's a true story. So it's good to see you. I'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.